name is Robyn, and she would never let me do anything naughty. As bad as I want to do it.
What if I were to tell you that the entire basis of the Brown family's finances, everything we believed we knew about their money, their stability, and their future, has just been rocked to its foundation? We're not dealing with whispers, speculation, or conjecture here. We're dealing with a story so explosive.
Coyote Pass soon.
This is bull. I'm not selling this land until everything is perfectly fair and we do this the right way. Sorry.
It's a standoff at the Coyote Pass.
So shocking that it can potentially rewrite the entire fabric we've been presented with for years. Based on several inside sources, a legal whirlwind has just broken out in Flagstaff, Arizona, and the consequences could be ruinous. Exclusive reports indicate that a judge has intervened with a drastic action, freezing Kody and Robyn Brown's accounts. Let me repeat that. More than $3.2 million worth of assets frozen by the court. This is not chump change, and it's not the type of ruling that is done cavalierly. This is the sort of legal intervention reserved for serious, high-stakes financial misconduct allegations. And now, Kody and Robyn's accusations are creating a picture that is nothing less than a blockbuster scandal. But before we delve into the mountain of evidence, the supposed shell companies, the wire transfers, and the courthouse confrontation that reduced Robyn to tears and Kody to a rage, I must take a moment of pause. If you're one to dig up the truth behind the glossy reality TV veneer, then be sure to give this a like, subscribe to TLC Show Decoder, and tap that notification bell. You'll want to be here, trust me, when we unravel every single turn of this unfolding tale. Okay, let's dive in. This drama doesn't start with subtlety. It begins with nothing less than a financial earthquake. As per records associated with Coconino County Superior Court, the preliminary injunction was granted. What is that? Simply put, it means the judge basically put the brakes on Kody and Robyn's financial liberty. Several accounts have been halted, checking, savings, even investment accounts. And here's where things take a spine-chilling turn. The court order also specifically mentions an elusive LLC, which until now existed entirely in secret. The title of that LLC? Dabsark Holdings. On the surface, it reads like any other business name. But you scratch the surface, and the meaning strikes you in the solar plexus. Dabsark, Dayton, Aurora, Brianna, Solomon, Ariella, Robyn, Kody. That is not a family business. That is a Robyn and Kody business, a legal bulwark erected in their own children's interests, specifically excluding Christine, Janelle, and Mary. Consider that for a moment. For years, people were asking where the money went. We saw the Browns sell those 4 houses in Las Vegas, which should have given them a big enough financial cushion to ease their move to Flagstaff. But instead, what did we see? Chaos. Rentals they could hardly afford. Land payments on Coyote Pass they couldn't sustain. Christine admitting her concerns about instability. Janelle, the numbers girl, growing more and more frazzled. Mary attempting to float on her bed and breakfast. And in the midst of it all, Kody and Robyn stood outside it all, living in a huge house, splurging on luxuries, having a nanny, and hanging on to a lifestyle that did not align with the alleged financial struggles we were being led to believe. Fans long felt a disconnect. But this new information indicates it wasn't disparity necessarily. It was something intentional, deliberate, and based on these filings, dishonest. According to what's been uncovered, Dabsark Holdings wasn't just a side hustle or a vanity project. It was allegedly the pipeline through which millions of TLC dollars flowed. Dollars earned from Sister Wives, a show that only exists because of Christine, Janelle, and Mary's participation, into the pockets of Kody and Robyn alone. And as if that wasn't enough, sources claim some of this money may have been rerouted even further, possibly offshore. So how did this all come to light? That's where things get even more heartbreaking. This lawsuit didn't come from an outsider. It wasn't sparked by some random whistleblower. From what we've been told, it came from within, from a legal team representing the broader Brown family estate. Christine and Janelle's financial claims appear to be central. Having given their time, their earnings, their lives into a so-called family pot for years, they feel Kody violated his fiduciary duty. That is, legally speaking, betrayed the trust of those he was supposed to take care of. And the ruling by the judge to freeze the money, that indicates the evidence had to have been overwhelming. Judges don't freeze millions of dollars unless there's strong evidence that money will disappear, if not stopped. So what is the kind of evidence we're discussing here? Electronic breadcrumbs, the kind you can't delete. Bank subpoenas allegedly. Uncovered wire transfers with money flowing out of the family's TLC-funded account into Dabsark Holdings. Then, smaller transfers branched off into other accounts, some in Arizona, some in Nevada. Now, Arizona accounts may fund day-to-day expenses, but Nevada? Red flags fly straight up there. Nevada is well known for its corporate anonymity laws. Translation: if you want to conceal money, head to Nevada. And as the filings show, at least one of these Nevada accounts was set up in a totally different corporate name, with no apparent connection to the Browns. That's a classic ploy for concealing assets, an alienation technique known as layering. Tracking something like this is not easy. Forensic accountants, financial sleuths, would have spent months, perhaps even years, untangling this web. And obviously, they found enough to persuade the court to move with all due haste. Imagine the scene in that Flagstaff courtroom. A closed-door hearing. On one hand, Christine and Janelle's attorneys, composed and ready, with binders full of bank statements and charts tracing the money trail. On the other, Kody and Robyn, blindsided, reeling, probably caught totally off guard. Robyn in tears, Kody enraged, pacing and gesticulating wildly. The evidence is louder than any denials could be. Transfers, corporations, secrecy, all leading to deliberate concealment. Naturally, Kody and Robyn's attorneys would claim Dabsark was valid. They would perhaps assert that it was intended to oversee their individual brand, or Kody was owed more since he was the head of the household. But the response is brutally straightforward. Sister wives never concerned Kody in isolation. Sister wives concerned plural marriage. It concerned Christine, Janelle, and Mary, their children, their tribulations. That was the show. That was the agreement. Without them, there is no product. To channel most of that revenue into Kody and Robyn's personal LLC, that would be nothing short of betrayal. And obviously, the judge agreed. Freezing the assets was the court's means of securing the money until the trial of the fraud unfolds. It's a decision that indicates just how solid Christine and Janelle's case actually is. To Kody and Robyn, this means one thing. Their empire has been shut down. They can't access it. They can't spend it. They can't stash it. For the time being, that $3.2 million is locked and loaded, and the human fallout, it's already erupting. Sources say Robyn left the courthouse sobbing uncontrollably. Not the kind of camera-ready tears fans often roll their eyes at, but the gut-wrenching panic of someone realizing the life she built is collapsing. Kody, meanwhile, reportedly stormed. Out enraged, red-faced, barking into his phone, true to form, blaming everyone but himself. Here we go then, at the start of what may prove to be one of the most startling court fights in TLC history. A father accused of betraying the very women who helped build the family fortune. A pet wife seeing her safety net disappear. And two ex-wives rising up, finally demanding justice. And on a serious note, it leaves us all wondering, was it always about love and family? Or was it always about money and control? In Kody's mind, this latest twist would not be because of his own supposed actions or decisions. No. Instead, he would perceive it as betrayal. He would cast it as Christine and Janelle conspiring against him, portraying himself once more as the victim of an elaborate scheme to ruin his reputation, his authority, and his vision of family. But let's stop and consider, isn't it convenient the way Kody always manages to deflect blame? How every collapse in his life is never about being responsible, but about how supposedly others are out to get him. And here's the larger question. What about TLC? The network has constructed an empire on the drama of the Brown family, but they are also notoriously risk-averse when it comes to scandal. A lawsuit involving allegations of financial impropriety linked to the stars of one of their flagship programs is nothing less than a public relations disaster. And now there are rumors circulating. Rumors that TLC might be acting quickly behind the scenes. We're hearing whispers that the network could freeze all future payments to the Browns, while they conduct their own investigation. Imagine the panic that would set in. For over a decade, Sister Wives has been the family's golden goose. What happens if that goose stops laying eggs? Think about the contract clauses TLC likely has in place. Morality clauses, reputation clauses. Emergency exits to keep the network safe from just this type of scandal. If the allegations of fraud hold water, TLC would be justified in canceling the show entirely. In a single stroke, the very forum that enabled Kody and Robyn to bankroll their fantasy existence would be gone. The irony is huge here. Kody, ever proud of his position as the visionary and leader, could have instigated the very conspiracy that brings down the empire. And this collateral damage does not end with the network. The court decree freezes all but nearly everything that comes into contact with Kody and Robyn's lives, and that ripple effect spreads to the whole family. Let's begin with Coyote Pass, that cursed strip of ground meant to be the crown jewel of Kody's patriarchal empire. For years, it's been the wellspring of endless strife, debt, and broken promises. Balloon payments are looming, and with their accounts locked up, how will Kody and Robyn even make a start on paying them? The hard truth? They might not be able to. Foreclosure is no longer a distant threat. The fantasy of bringing the family together on a single piece of property was already in critical condition. This court action might have just disconnected the life support machine altogether. The land that was supposed to represent unity might be sold to cover expenses, a sad shrine to division instead. But the saddest effect? The kids. Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna are teenagers attempting to get on their feet. Solomon and Ariella are only children. Their futures, their security, their stability, they're now all entwined in this legal chaos. College money, savings, the possibilities they might have been banking on, suddenly put on ice, suddenly in question. And then there's the emotional devastation. How do you tell your children that their aunts, the women who essentially raised them, are suing their parents for supposedly raiding the family treasury to the tune of millions? That's not merely an economic loss. That's a blow to the heart, a breach of faith that never heals. For Christine and Janelle, however, this is a moment that hurts but is also vindicating. For years, they carried loads while Kody and Robyn enjoyed comforts. Christine famously did not manage to scrape together enough money to purchase her house in Utah until she'd picked up $50,000, a figure now almost laughable when comparing with the supposed $3.2 million stashed away. Janelle actually lived in an RV down on Coyote Pass, stretching, trying to get the family budget to work, while Kody and Robyn luxuriated in a house worth $1 million. Can you picture the bitterness of the realization? This lawsuit is not about greed to them. It's about fairness. It's about regaining dignity. It's about saying, we sacrificed decades of our lives to this family, and we will not be erased. And Mary? Always the wild card. Whereas her finances have been more distinct for some time now due to LuLaRoe and her bed and breakfast, remember, she was legally married to Kody for more than 20 years and spiritually connected to the family for much longer. She has a right to shared property from those decades. Even though she's not specifically named in this initial lawsuit, do you think for a second she and her attorneys aren't monitoring this case like hawk-eyed predators? If Christine and Janelle's allegations prove true, Mary might just come forward with some of her own. That put upon $3.2 million in that frozen account may not belong to Christine and Janelle alone. It may be the prize all three of the original wives can fight for. At the center of this case is the most important idea of all, the family pot. From day one, the Browns came across as a single financial entity. Everything went into one account, everything paid for communally. That was the foundation of the plural marriage. That was its marketing hook. That was what made Sister Wives compelling to watch. But secretly, Kody and Robyn broke that foundation, this lawsuit alleges. They supposedly established a second clandestine pot, Dabsark Holdings, and diverted millions into it, all while maintaining the illusion of financial hardship for the camera's sake. Consider what evidence forensic accountants must have uncovered. Did the proceeds from the Vegas house sales actually flow into the family account as we were informed, or was some diverted into Dabsark? Did the fat TLC checks translate into the family budgets of Janelle and Christine, or did they somehow spike in alignment with payments to that shadow company? And most incriminatingly, were Dabsark funds spent on purchasing Robyn's flagstaff, mansion, or on luxury items such as vacations and automobiles that the cameras never permitted us to see? These are the questions the trial for fraud will uncover. And let's not shy away from Nevada. Filing money through shell corporations there doesn't occur randomly. Nevada is notorious for secrecy, a hideaway for those seeking to conceal ownership and assets. If Kody and Robyn took the time to establish multi-layered corporate entities state to state, it shouts one word: intent. This wasn't an error, this wasn't sloppy accounting, this was intentional, and prosecutors will pounce on that. Fact, the repercussions for Kody and Robyn at this point are catastrophic. As their accounts are frozen, they'll be reduced to pleading with the court to get their hands on living costs. Each purchase, each bill, each swipe of a card will be scrutinized. Can you imagine Kody, the man who used to sat on high above everyone else's spending plans, being brought low to defend his expenditure to a judge? For a man who is so consumed with control, this is not just an economic blow. It's a humiliation, and it may only be the start. This action paves the way for a wholesale examination of the Brown finances dating back years, if not decades. Every real estate deal, every agreement, every large expense might be mined for detail. If forensic accountants discern this reported scheme began long ago, Kody and Robyn might find themselves ensnared by a financial trap too secure to slip from. Which brings us to the ultimate question. What was their motive? Was it planning a sneak exit? Saving up money to exit stage left from the show and the family? Was it preferring Robyn's children over the rest, securing a financial future for them while abandoning the others? Or was it always about entitlement? Sense that Robyn had more coming to her because she was the legal wife, and Kody had more coming to him because he was the patriarch? The trial would reveal their motives in black and white. Envision emails or text messages subpoenaed, exposing in cold, unqualified terms what they really felt about Christine, Janelle, and even Mary. That sort of evidence would break not only their case in court, but whatever illusion of unity they still hold on to in public. And let's not ignore the shadow of criminal consequences. Right now, this is a civil fraud case, but large-scale asset hiding, interstate wire transfers, potential tax evasion, those aren't just civil issues. They can trigger federal investigations. If prosecutors see evidence of deliberate fraud, this could escalate into something far more dangerous for Kody and Robyn. We're not saying it will happen, but the possibility is real, and it's chilling. Then, there is the discovery phase, the sharing of evidence, the depositions. Imagine Robyn on the stand, sworn in, being questioned about why Dabsark Holdings existed. Imagine Kody explaining away the Nevada accounts. There will be no TLC cameras. To bail him out, no opportunity to talk his way around questions. Seasoned lawyers will demand straight answers, and if he lies, it's perjury. The family has now divided into distinct camps. Christine, living well in Utah, now free and remarried, but refusing to have her past contributions disappear. Janelle, always practical, going into combat to ensure her children receive a fair future. Kody and Robyn, alone, under fire, seeing their kingdom fall apart. And Mary, holding back, perhaps waiting out the time, aware she too has a claim on whatever destiny lies ahead. The Brown family we knew is no more. Left behind is a broken empire, marching towards an acrimonious and long drawn-out court battle. The $3.2 million held back today. That's only the beginning of a fight for money, for justice, and for the truth. The unraveling has started. Secrets, long buried in the privacy of their various homes, are soon to be dragged out under the cold, harsh glare of a courtroom. And don't think we won't be here to cover every twist, every revelation, every shocking turn. Because if you thought the emotional meltdown of the Brown family was dramatic, the financial meltdown is going to be even worse. It's time we pose the questions everyone has been mumbling. How did Kody and Robyn supposedly get away with it for so long? And why would they jeopardize absolutely everything to do it? The answers, sources close to the case say, are buried deep in a mountain of digital data that investigators are now sorting through. A trail that shows years of meticulous planning, manipulation, and what seems to be an overt attempt to distance themselves from the very family they profess to love. Christine and Janelle's lawyers didn't rush into court with suspicions and wounded emotions. They came armed with ammunition, a sweeping forensic accounting report, hundreds of pages long. The report is being touted as nothing short of a roadmap, documenting step-by-step how Kody and Robyn supposedly diverted money from the shared family fund into their own private vault. It starts, as so many betrayals do, quietly. Tidy maneuvers that most people wouldn't see, but with the years, the subtle steps grew more defiant, until the scheme had become a system, a shadow economy parallel to the family's alleged financial hardships. The point of departure? Dabsark Holdings LLC. Now, on paper, forming an LLC is not illegal. Many families and enterprises do it for legitimate purposes, but the forensic accountants homed in on something sinister, the legal theory called the alter ego theory. This is a rule whereby courts can peel away the corporate veil when a corporation is employed, not for legitimate business, but as an individual's bank piggyback. And that, the lawsuit alleged, is precisely what Kody and Robyn did. They didn't only obscure the distinctions between family money and company money, they supposedly wiped them off the map altogether. The report suggests that the seed capital for Dabsark originated straight from the Las Vegas home sales. Recall when the Browns assured us that all of those dollars were being invested back into Coyote Pass or paying for the stifling cost of their relocation to Flagstaff? Investigators say they weren't telling the whole story. A significant six-figure share of those proceeds never found its way into the family's primary account. Rather, it quietly disappeared into the brand new Dabsark account, a bank account that was only held by Kody and Robyn. This was the first cut, the financial separation that saw the beginning of the dissolution of everything the Browns established together. And from there, the transfers did not cease. They purportedly snowballed. Avenues are referring to the next find as the smoking gun, automated repeat transfers. According to the forensic accountants, soon after TLC deposits reached the family entertainment account, an automatic percentage that rather inexplicably expanded yearly was wired directly into Dabsark. This was no occasional transfer or bookkeeping error. This was routine. It was, in essence, an underground salary Kody and Robyn were paying themselves ahead of everyone else in the family even, having a chance to lay eyes on the budget. The irony is breathtaking. While Christine was pleading for assistance to pay for her daughter Isabel's life-altering surgery, while Janelle was actually residing in an RV on the remote soil of Coyote Pass, millions were supposedly pouring month after month into Kody and Robyn's clandestine coffers. But the trail does not end there. The Nevada link is where the story becomes even murkier. The report states that funds from Dabsark were then routed into another company, registered anonymously in Nevada by a third-party agent. Let's name it Patriarch Properties LLC for the purpose of example. Why go through this extra layer? 2 reasons: anonymity and protection. Nevada's corporate secrecy legislation is notorious, making it all but impossible to determine who the real owners of a company are. By routing the money there, Kody and Robyn weren't simply creating an umbrella policy, they were constructing a fortress, putting the family money out of reach in an area where the other wives couldn't reach it, or perhaps even locate it. This wasn't mere financial maneuvering. This was planned, intentional, and the lawsuit alleges fraudulent. Real businesses don't usually go this far to conceal assets from their own business partners. That's what thieves do who are aware they're in the wrong. And then there's the spending. Subpoenas supposedly uncovered credit and debit records from Dabsark that indicated patterns of expenses that flatly contradicted the family's public persona of financial hardship. While Kody and Robyn were supposedly fretting to fans about tight budgets, thousands of dollars were supposedly being gushing out for designer jewelry, payments on high-ticket cars, and even lavish expenditures from antique and collectible stores. Yes, even Robyn's notorious collectibles of figurines can now constitute evidence. Each porcelain doll perched on her shelf, perhaps purchased with funds that were meant to feed all 4 wives and 18 children. Testimony is also the case resting. Sources indicate Christine and Janelle's lawyers already have affidavits from at least 2 of the most important witnesses. The first, a money advisor who was consulted on the Flagstaff relocation, who apparently grew uneasy with Kody's secretive inquiries regarding how to structure assets so that they would be protected from the rest of the family. This advisor is said to have warned Kody in so many words. This could blow up legally if not done in total openness. This is explosive if true. It demonstrates intent. Kody knew precisely what he was doing. The second witness? More incendiary. A past TLC production employee who testifies that they eavesdropped on Kody and Robyn complaining about having to split money with the other wives and freely talking about how much they wish to build their own dynasty beyond the rest of the family. This witness even says that Kody and Robyn bullied producers into portraying them in a sympathetic light while playing up the hardships of the other wives on camera. If that testimony is true, then this isn't financial fraud. It's manipulation. Of the show itself, the story audiences saw on television might have been a part of a deliberate PR push designed to legitimize the financial gap. So why did they do it? Why take the risk? Psychologists would refer to it as a union of 2 motivations. For Kody, it was about control. As his spiritual and emotional leadership of the family unraveled, he wanted a different power: financial control. In hiding the purse strings, he could maintain the fantasy of being the patriarch, the king whose crown was faltering. Dabsark wasn't an organization, it was his new throne. For Robyn, it was fear. As soon as she joined the family, she brought with her the trauma of economic uncertainty. She had been a sole parent, in hock to the world, and those wounds never healed. No amount of money could ever come in that she did not want more protection, more insulation, more security. She wasn't accumulating wealth, she was constructing a fortress against her ultimate fear: being exposed once again. And in her mind, perhaps this wasn't greed at all. Perhaps she framed it as survival, as a mother's duty to protect her children, even at the expense of the rest of the family. Together, Kody's hunger for power and Robyn's hunger for security formed the perfect storm, and the fallout? We're seeing it now in courtrooms and headlines. But wait, there's more. The initial injunction freezing $3.2 million is only the warm-up act. The fight now moves to discovery, the arduous process of law where every email, every text, every paper has to be produced. Think about what might turn up on Kody and Robyn's phones. Talk about money, commands to accountants, even uncut production footage TLC never broadcast. All their words ever spoken regarding finances may be evidence. And here's the kicker. Since plural marriage is not recognized by law, the courts now have an unprecedented question. Did the Browns function as an unincorporated partnership wherein each wife had legal claims to the family income? If so, Kody might have broken a fiduciary obligation, violating the very trust that sustained this non-traditional framework. Kody's attorneys will contend the contrary, that he alone, as legal husband and movie star, had authority to control the money. But if the judge rules in favor of Christine and Janelle, the precedent could shake not just this family, but redefine the way courts perceive assets in non-traditional unions. And then there are the children. 18 kids caught in the middle. Some might even be called to testify. Might Peyton and Gwendolyn, who have publicly denounced Kody and Robyn, be asked to provide testimony regarding financial disparities they saw at home as children? Might Mike Kelty be asked about the family loan used to fund her down payment, compared to the clandestine millions being spent elsewhere? The emotional devastation here is ginormous. This isn't merely about cash, it's about trust, deception, and the breakdown of sibling relationships. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Kody and Robyn are allegedly in a panic. With their accounts frozen, they require fast cash to cover their expensive lawyers, and insiders say Robyn has begun discreetly selling her collectibles. Yes, those same figurines allegedly purchased on family money. What irony, the very trophies of their indulgence now being sold to pay for their defense. It's desperation at its finest. Their faces told the story at the courthouse. Robyn's tears were not only sorrow, but the breakdown of an expertly manufactured illusion of security. Kody's anger was not solely about frozen funds. It was the ire of a deposed patriarch, required to report to a judge rather than ruling supreme. This isn't another sibling feud. This is the reckoning of all reckonings, the beginning of the end. For the empire they constructed on secrets, cronyism, and domination. And as this case plays out, one thing is certain. The last chapter in the Brown family won't be penned on Coyote Pass. It will be penned in a courtroom, where no spin doctoring or manipulation can keep them out of trouble.